Travis Wayne Goodsell. So, for the last 2 or 3 days, I've begun watching 24. And Kiefer Sutherland plays Jack Bauer, in which he's trying to obtain information and get that information back to the President of the United States so that the President of the United States can make informed decisions. This is the importance of messengers. In the Joseph Smith history, we have our second vision of Joseph Smith. He calls it a vision, and when talking to the Methodist preacher says that visions and revelations ceased with the apostles. Brigham Young, by the way, was a Methodist preacher. Did you know that? So in verse 30, it begins. He was calling upon God and discovered a light in his room, which was lighter than the sun at noonday. It's interesting. That's the description of the two personages that appeared to Joseph Smith in the first vision. Interesting. And so he's described as a human man. And then his countenance was like lightning. He says that he's a messenger. Messenger in Hebrew is Malachi, sent from the presence of God. It's similar to Mercury, the messenger of the gods. So the sun at noonday, now Mercury. And he says that his name was Joseph Smith Papers. Joseph Smith says Nephi. Joseph Smith is the founder of our church. He, and only he, receives revelations and commandments for the church. Nobody else is allowed to make changes, additions, or corrections. Section 28 and Section 43. And so why did Willard Richards, after Joseph Smith died, change it to Moroni, when Joseph Smith had this published in 1842? It's supposed to be Nephi, which means Joseph Smith is making a correction of the 1835 edition of the Doctrine and Covenants, section 27, verse 5. It's not Moroni there either. Joseph Smith is changing it to Nephi. And Willard Richards instead changed this to the previous one. You see how this is done? Joseph Smith only has authority. Joseph Smith, having authority, makes the change 3 years later that got published. Another 4 years to confirm it's Nephi, thus changing section 35. Did I get that right? No, section 27. Associative memory. And so then he talks about the Egyptian gold plates. A book deposit written upon gold plates. And we learn from the Book of Mormon itself that it's Egyptian gold plates. And then he talks about the Urim and Thummim, the breastplate, constituting seers. in the book of Abraham, chapter 3. And I, Abraham, had the Urim and Thummim, which the Lord my God had given unto me in Ur of the Chaldees. And I saw the stars. Okay? Urim and Thummim, to see signs in the heavens. Verse 36, he commenced quoting the prophecies of the Old Testament. Okay, so prophecies are predictions of the future. So there are predictions of the future in the Old Testament. And he starts with Malachi. For the day cometh that shall burn as an oven. Does that sound like the gospel of Jesus Christ being restored through Joseph Smith? This is a warning message of destruction, of doom to the human race. He adds, for they that come shall burn them. And then he goes to the part about Elijah and adds, if it were not so, the whole earth would be utterly wasted at his coming. The gospel of Jesus Christ? No. This is not the restoration of the gospel. And it's talking about children and fathers, seed, offspring, the human race. There's an extermination event coming for humans. And he's telling us about signs in the heavens just prior to it. And so we get to verse 40. Quoted the 11th chapter of Isaiah. And that's the stem with the root and the branches. Saying it's about to be fulfilled. What? That seems confusing. I thought it was Jesus. Jesus was fulfilled during the Roman period, wasn't he? That's what the Gospels tell us as literal history. Just like in the movie Galaxy Quest, the historical documents. They're literal history, right? Better get out of here before someone kills Guy. Awesome movie. And then he goes on to talk about, he quoted also the 3rd chapter of Acts, 22nd, 23rd verses, precisely as they stand in our New Testament. So prophecies of Old Testament, talking about destruction of the human race. And now he's going to the New Testament. And says that the prophet that Acts refers to is our Christ. So we're going to need to go to it, aren't we? He says that the day has not yet come, just like in Isaiah. It's about to be fulfilled. Here, the prophecy in Acts has not yet come. When they who will not hear his voice, the Christ, which has not yet come, should be cut off from the people. He says it's precisely as it stands in our New Testament. Cut off. Then goes on to quote the 2nd chapter of Joel, which talks about signs in the heavens and visions. Acts chapter 3, verse 22. For Moses, that Exodus guy, truly said unto the fathers, a prophet shall the Lord your God raise up unto you of your brethren. As Joseph Smith said, this had not yet happened. Like unto me, a man like Moses. Him shall ye hear in all things. So despite Acts being 2,000 years ago, Joseph Smith says this has yet to happen. And then 23, precisely as it stands in our New Testament. And it shall come to pass that every soul which will not hear that prophet shall be destroyed. That's not cut off from among the people. Which people is he going to be talking to? And just by interest, verse 24, all the prophets from Samuel and those that follow after, as many as have spoken, have likewise foretold of those days that Joseph Smith says was not yet, but is coming. Joseph Smith is 1823 in 1838 when he tells us this. He says it's a vision. The Methodist preacher says there are no such things as visions and revelations since the time of the apostles who wrote Acts. So if Moses said it, is there a passage in the Old Testament where Moses actually says this? Or is that a missing scripture? Well, fortunately, it is in our Torah, as the Jews call it. This is Jewish scripture. It's in Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy means repetition of the law. This is the law of the Jews. And so this is the supreme keystone of the Jews. Just like the Book of Mormon is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints' keystone. The Egyptian gold plates of Book of Mormon. So here it is. Lord thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me. Raise up prophet like unto me. Moses. That Joseph Smith says is our Christ, and he has yet to come to be raised up among the people and to be like unto Moses. I wonder what his name was. Isaiah gives us a name. Isaiah chapter 7. We can start in 13. And he says, Hear ye now, O house of David. Samuel was the prophet who selected Saul, and then Saul chose to sacrifice rather than obey. Samuel put David in his place as the king. Verse 14. The Lord himself shall give you a sign in the heavens, which, using the Hebrew meaning, is a conjunction, which is a zodiac constellation with celestial bodies in the same area. That's what's called a conjunction. This is a sign in the heavens. Signs in the heavens are giving us a date. And here we have the Urim and Thummim in play here, don't we? Behold, Virgo. That's a constellation. Shall conceive and bear a son. Which celestial body retrogrades in the constellations for about a pregnancy period? Jupiter. His symbol is lightning. He's the same as Zeus of the Greeks. He's the same as Yah of the Hebrews. He's the same as the sun god at noonday, Amen, of the Egyptians. Shall call his name Immanuel. El is God. The god Amen, the sun god at noonday of the Egyptians. The one who appeared in vision to Joseph Smith in his second vision. Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 5. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will raise unto David. We have the merging of Isaiah and the law from Deuteronomy of the man like Moses, a righteous branch, Isaiah, that Joseph Smith talked about. That is not, well, is about to happen. Root, branch. branch. Root is the foundation, the cornerstone, the founding. Branches are the latter end. And a king shall reign and prosper in his days, that Joseph Smith told us has yet to come in 1838, about 1823, which was different than is about to come for the roots of the branches. Judah shall be saved. This is after 1838. So the Jews don't believe Jesus is real then? This is not Jesus then. Did Jesus save the Jews? They were slaughtered. They didn't get saved. Temple was destroyed. It wasn't rebuilt in 3 days. What's going on? Therefore, the days come, saith the Lord, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Hey, that's Moses with the Exodus. But the days come, saith the Lord, that the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of, that brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country and from all countries whither I had driven them. The man like Moses. See what Jeremiah has done? He's taken Isaiah, merged it with the law of the Jews about the man like Moses, whom Joseph Smith is saying has yet to come. Verse 91 of section 107 of the Doctrine and Covenants. Again, the duty of the office of the president of the high priesthood is to preside over the whole church and to be like unto Moses. Joseph Smith here. Joseph Smith is the founder. Joseph Smith is the roots from Isaiah that he talks about in the Joseph Smith history, verse 40. Any confusion? Don't let your bias enter. We're sticking to the scriptures. To be a seer, revelator, translator, and a prophet, having all the gifts. Section 110 is the Kirtland Temple. After it was dedicated, Joseph Smith has another vision. And so he sees Jehovah. Jehovah does not mean Jesus in Greek. Joshua does. This is Jehovah. It says, I am the first and the last. We know Joseph Smith is the first, and the Christ is going to be the last. In Hebrew, the script, the letter A is first, and then a shape of an X is last. And so thus, when you write with the Hebrew script, he's also referred to as the author and the finisher of the faith. Alpha, and in Greek it's Omega, but that X in Paleo-Hebrew is last. And so Jehovah accepts the house of Kirtland, the temple. And then we get down to the next vision. Moses appears. And the keys of the Exodus of the latter days. Man like Moses. And then Elias, which is incorrect. It's Elishua. How do I know this? Because he's given the dispensation of the gospel of Abraham. In the book of Abraham, the gospel of Abraham is the gospel of salvation. Shua is salvation. So it's the God of salvation. That's sort of Jesus, except that there's a Yah in front of it. The Hebrew God. Then another vision. Elijah, who should be sent before the great and dreadful day of the Lord. There he is, 1836, April 3rd, which happened to be the third day of Passover, which is the Exodus, as the holy day of the Jews celebrated. 8 days. Joseph Smith's second vision, September 21st and 22nd, 1823, was the third day of Sukkot, Tabernacles, ingathering, harvest, gathering of Israel from the four parts of the earth. We just had that. Saturday session of conference was day 1. And then 8 days later, the final day, celebrating the end of Sukkot. What happened on that day? All right, Hamas attacked Israel, started a war of all Islam against the Jews and anybody who supports the Jews, like America. And on their Friday, the 13th, their 5 pillars of Islam, they have a special prayer for the noonday prayer, because it follows the sun. They're not moon religion, they're sun religion. They have a special prayer that replaces the regular other day of the week prayer, in which they add the words of Muhammad, their prophet, who appears to be just like Moses, because he goes to the top of the mountain, gets the Quran. Man like Moses, huh? That's not who Joseph Smith is talking about. But he's the prophet of Islam. So according to Joseph Smith, Muhammad is a false prophet. But the extra words of Muhammad is the day of judgment to destroy the wicked. Similar to a day that shall burn as an oven. Huh? Judgment Day. Interestingly, the symbol of Islam is similar to the symbol of communism, in which there's a star in a crescent, and it's believed to be a moon. However, Islam is a sun-worshipping religion, as I just went over with you. Therefore, it's a star in the sun. Similar to John in Revelation chapter 19, talks about an angel standing in the sun. What did we have on yesterday? After Friday the 13th? We had the Ring of Fire annular solar eclipse. After Hamas called for a day of rage on their Friday the 13th, special prayer during noon, as we are now in a war against all Islam. Who is this guy, Mormons? Who is he? In the Book of Mormon, in the very beginning, we are told the first year of the reign of King Zedekiah, king of Judah, which is 597 BCE. We are told that 600 years from this day, 4 CE, the Messiah would come. Because Lehi leaves in an Exodus was there a sign in the heavens in 4 CE? Get your Urim and Thummim out. Sure enough, 8 April 4 CE, an annular solar eclipse over Russia. The conjunction of it was in the constellation of Aries, the Lamb-Ram constellation, and there was a messenger, Mercury. Anybody familiar with Abraham sacrificing Isaac? Abraham takes his son Isaac, says, we're going to go offer sacrifices in Utah, top of the mountain. And so on the way up the mountain to Utah, Isaac says, where's the lamb to sacrifice? Trust the Lord. They get there, they build the altar, get the wood on it, and Abraham then puts his son on the altar. Human sacrifice. And as he was about to thrust the knife into Isaac, facsimile number 1, a messenger appears Mercury, and says, here's a ram. I just demonstrated how the Urim and Thummim works to identify signs in the heavens and the star date that they give. 600 years, huh? Exodus. Lehi's second vision is exactly the same as Joseph Smith's second vision. Verse 8. Carried away in a vision. Sees a sign in the heavens. Conjunction. God is the father of Jupiter. That's Saturn. Sitting upon his throne. That would be Ophiuchus. Then he sees the sun at noonday. Jupiter. And then he sees 12 others following him. Is there a pattern somewhere else in Scripture that we can reference? Nephi goes on to tell us in his vision about the tree of life, about this John, who will talk about the latter days. So does Revelation have anything on this? And there appeared a conjunction in heaven. Virgo, clothed with the sun, moon under her feet, upon her head, Leo, 12 stars. She's conceived with Jupiter. Verse 5. She conceives Jupiter at the Bethlehem star of Spica, the house of bread. Caught up unto Saturn and Ophiuchus. Joseph Smith translation says we need to move that to verse 3 to be part of that sign, just like the Book of Mormon tells us to do so. This is a star date. This is a sign in the heavens of the latter days. Because the date, according to our Urim and Thummim, 23rd September 2017. The first year of the reign of King Zedekiah? Wait, the Book of Mormon tells us it's in the learning of the Jews. Hey, the Old Testament is in the learning of the Jews. Hey, so is the New Testament. Even those gospel stories. In the learning of the Jews. Our Christ is not Jesus, is it? Because it's the learning of the Jews. Second Nephi, chapter 3, verse 5. Joseph of Egypt truly saw our day. He obtained a promise of the Lord that out of the fruit of his loins the Lord God would raise up a righteous branch unto the house of Israel. Not the Messiah, who has yet to come in 1838, but a branch which was to be broken off nevertheless to be remembered in the covenants of the Lord. Well, who is this? He goes on to continue in verse 6. We're coming back. Verse isn't finished. For Joseph truly testified, saying, a seer, which before time was called. In Samuel, he says that it's now a prophet, which before time was seer. So it's the same thing. Seer shall the Lord my God raise up. Seeing the pattern? Who shall be a choice seer unto the fruit of my loins. A choice seer will I raise up of the fruit of my loins. Do we get a name? He shall be great like unto Moses, whom I said will come and deliver my people, O house of Israel, in the latter days. Verse 9. 11 again, he repeats it. A seer will I raise up. Verse 15. His name shall be called after me, Joseph. And it shall be after the name of his father, Joseph. Senior and junior. Wonder who that would be. Back to verse 5. To be remembered in the covenants of the Lord, that the Messiah, the man like Moses, descendant of King David, the Christ, Messiah is Hebrew, Christ is Greek, means anointed, thus king, should be made manifest. Because Joseph Smith says it has not yet happened in 1838 that he should be made manifest, raised up as a baby, mortal parents, unto them. Those then pronouns again. In the latter days. Right here in the Book of Mormon, the keystone of Joseph Smith's religion. Speaking to Mormons of the latter days, if they pollute the land of Utah, in the air and the water and the soil, they will lose their inheritance. Will not spare Mormons if they pollute their inheritance. So, the redemption of Zion must needs come by power. Therefore, verse 16, section 103, I will raise up unto my people, it's the Mormons, a man who shall lead them, sneeze, like as Moses with the Exodus. Because Mormons are the children of Israel and will be in bondage in the latter days. So Mormons will be in the great and abominable church. Hey, Nephi talks about that in his vision of the tree of life as well. So do we now see a bigger picture here? Immanuel, in a vision to Joseph Smith, prophesies of his coming to Mormons in the latter days, which is 2017, 23rd September 2017, to warn Mormons of the day that shall burn as an oven, and they that come shall burn the Mormons in the great and abominable church. It's a dualistic prophecy, because Immanuel is going to be giving a warning message to Mormons, just as Joseph Smith had his second vision about Immanuel, warning about the latter days of Immanuel coming to warn the Mormons, which is the exact same pattern match in the beginning of the Book of Mormon that we find out is beginning in 2017, 23rd September, the first year of the reign of King Zedekiah. Are we sure it's Zedekiah now? In 2017, huh? We just had a solar eclipse. There was another one on the first year, 2017, 21st of August. That was Monson's birthday, by the way, of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It was also the ancient religious calendar New Year, which means the Egyptians knew of that date, which means the Jews knew of that date. And the Jews, according to the Book of Mormon, are the pre-Babylonian captivity Jews who were Egyptian. So Egypt and the Jews pre-captivity are the one and the same. So we've had 2 days of darkness, days and hours of darkness. They form a shadow over the earth. So if chapter 19 of Revelation talks about an angel standing in the sun, that's a star date too. Sure enough, 8 April 2024 CE. That's next. It too is over the United States of America. And it forms the Paleo-Hebrew letter A over the United States of America. And with next year's finishing 3rd day of darkness, an hour of darkness, it also forms the X of the last letter of the Paleo-Hebrew script. The first and the last, the author and the finisher, the latter days, the Jewish learning of writing scripture, prophesying of the latter days, 2017 to 2024, about Immanuel, the sun god at noonday, who creates the shadows of the crossroads. So the Jews wrote the Gospels talking about a guy named Yah of salvation, whom Matthew says is Immanuel, but decides to describe him as Jesus, which is the reverse of Isaiah. Yah of salvation is Jesus. Salvation of Yah is Isaiah. Jeremiah also throws in, he will save the Jews. The Lord, Yahweh, saves. Now, do you see what Matthew was doing? The Jewish author? It's talking about Immanuel. And Joseph tells us he's for the latter days, for Mormons. To speak to Mormons. I don't remember him at conference. Of which church? He will be a translator, a seer, a revelator, a prophet, having all the gifts as the leader of the Mormons. There are saved two churches, Church of the Devil, Church of the Lamb. Hey, that's from Revelation 19:2. Joseph Smith, section 58. The wedding supper feast of the Lamb at the Temple of Zion, 8 April 2024. So the Book of Mormon, 3rd Nephi, 2023. Jesus, in the learning of the Jews, tells the Nephites, I am he of whom Moses spake, saying, a prophet shall the Lord your God raise up unto you of your brethren like unto me. And then verse 24, all the prophets from Samuel, those that follow after, as many as have spoken, have testified of me, rather than foretold, from Acts. Jesus' appearing in the Book of Mormon is not literal history. It's in the learning of the Jews as a prophecy of the latter days. It's the man like Moses, descendant of David, whose name is Immanuel, a Mormon. And so, do we have a date? Yeah. 3rd Nephi, chapter 11. Every one of us who went on missions tell our investigators when we give them the Book of Mormon, ask them to read it, we refer to this. And so it came to pass that there was a great multitude gathered together of the people of Nephi round about the temple, which was in the land Bountiful. And they were marveling and wondering one with another. And they were also conversing of this Jesus Christ, Immanuel, of whom the sign had been given concerning his death. Who gave the sign? Samuel the Lamanite. Solar eclipses are death signs. And also he gave the sign of the birth, which we know as 23rd September 2017. And the death sign, 8 April 2024. The latter days. Here it is, the final day of the latter days. And so Jesus, as Nephi, become the leader of the people, asks him about the records. Where is Samuel's records of the Lamanite? Talking about the signs in the heavens. Oh yeah. Samuel means name of God. What is the name of God? Immanuel. Nephi. Second vision. Described as Immanuel. Jesus. Learning of the Jews, Matthew says, is Immanuel. Joseph Smith in verse 19 of the Joseph Smith history says that Christianity is all wrong. That the first creed, and thus every single creed thereafter, is an abomination. The great and abominable church. Roman Emperor Constantine founded Christianity in 325 CE. Named him Jesus as their Christ. And said that the Jewish scriptures are no longer prophecies and revelations of the latter days. They ceased. They are now replaced with literal history. And Joseph Smith says that's an abomination. Because as literal history, the author, who's a Jewish author, is talking about Jesus being murdered by the Jews. So all of Christianity hates the Jews for murdering their Jesus Christ, whom was created by Constantine, and replaced the Jewish prophecies and revelations of the latter days. And Joseph Smith says Jesus Christ, along with Christianity, is an abomination. So what's the name of this church? Nelson gets up and demands that Jesus is now angry and offended if we use nicknames. We have to use the name Jesus. But Joseph Smith tells us it's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints at the beginning of the history. Oops, he didn't refer to the Joseph Smith papers. Joseph Smith called his church the Church of Latter-day Saints, as the Joseph Smith papers has the meeting in 1834 where they unanimously agreed to change the name. Joseph Smith didn't rise up and say, I'm now changing the name of the church. No, Sidney Rigdon raised his hand. I propose a name change. All in favor? Unanimous. The name was changed. So Joseph Smith, in section 115, was what Nelson quoted. Oops. That's a forged document. Joseph was not giving that lecture. He did not change the name of the church. It's a forged document. So what about this? Oh, Joseph Smith papers. You have to click on it. But nonetheless, it says Jesus Christ was inserted by Willard Richards. After Joseph Smith died, Willard Richards went and changed the Joseph Smith history again. Changed the name of the church, changed Nephi to Moroni. He doesn't have authority to do so. What else did Willard Richards do? Well, he was with Joseph Smith in Carthage jail. His supposed testimony of events contradict John Taylor's testimony of events. That's weird. Didn't they both experience the same things? The differences are very dramatically different. John Taylor says he fell out the window. Willard Richards says, I dragged him from under the bed into the back cell and hit him in the hay. Oops. Somebody's not telling us the truth. But then Willard Richards is also the signature on all of those sealing documents to the 23 wives of Joseph Smith. But oops, they weren't in 1843. They were 1846. Oops. Willard Richards would also go on in 1846, not 1843, to be sealed to two sisters who were 14 and 16 years of age. The Book of Mormon condemns polygamy 5 times. Joseph Smith, in the 1835 edition of the Doctrine and Covenants, had a whole chapter on monogamy and condemned polygamy. What happened to that chapter? Brigham Young, in 1876, the year before he died, the year after he was arrested by his latest acts, took it out and put in section 132 about polygamy. Claimed it was by Joseph Smith. And I think 1834, wasn't it, or was it 1843? But then they go on and claim that it was as early as 1834, or 1831 maybe. Let's find out. Yeah, they claim it was 1843 when it was recorded. It's not in the Joseph Smith papers. They don't have it. They can't find it. It doesn't exist. They just have Brigham Young's printed edition and put it in. Yeah, 1831 they claim. Really? And so Joseph Smith knew that he was supposed to put in polygamy and preach polygamy, despite the Book of Mormon saying no polygamy 5 times. And then in 1835, instead of putting in polygamy, apparently this revelation, instead put in monogamy, condemning polygamy. But according to Willard Richards, 1843, Joseph Smith was sealed to 23 women, several of whom were minor girls. Just as Willard Richards claimed that he was sealed to minor girls, as he's the signature on the sealing documents, as he's the one who's putting in Jesus, who's replacing Nephi with Moroni. Seeing the pattern there? You got forged documents galore, altering documents. Willard Richards is not authorized. Also, Section 131 was finally put in 1876, along with Section 132. Seems to support Section 132, except that the Joseph Smith Papers has Section 131. We have the original documents of that. And, Brigham Young gutted the part where Joseph Smith is talking to a monogamous couple, telling them that if they are sealed in the temple, they, as a monogamous couple, will inherit the highest degree of the celestial kingdom. That goes against section 132, doesn't it? Which church is the abominable church? Which church will Mormons be in bondage to? So, this is going to be my last video. Again. On Friday the 13th, Knights Templar, Egyptian gold plates, America at the crossroads of the latter days, Southern Illinois, the Zion Temple, buried in caves. I was attacked. I cannot get my word program to function. And I told you that in the video after I had gotten it fixed. And then the next day, yesterday, I can't get it fixed. They attacked me. They are silencing me. And yes, my name is he who is from the crossroads of the sun god at noonday. Travis, Latin. Good cell. God soul. Sun god. I didn't name myself. As you will notice, I've been doing videos for a long time. My most popular video is about the sign in the heavens. 21st of August, 2017 and 23rd September 2017. I started my website on the 23rd of September 2017. And I have been warning Mormons about the day that shall burn as an oven. And all the prophecies, I revealed them unto you. I prophesied, revealing the prophecies of the scriptures. I have done the work I was told to do, according to prophecy. And Mormons have rejected me. I only have a few people who are interested in what I have to say. And as you can see, the rest are trying to silence my voice. And I can't compete. I'm not computer literate. I can't send back a hack to the hackers to attack them. I am at their mercy. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I am at their mercy. I can't smite them with the look of my eye. I am a human being with human parents. And yet, as I've demonstrated, manifested, I am a prophet, a seer, a revelator, a translator, as Joseph Smith prophesied. And the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints knows this and have threatened to murder me numerous times, getting Mormons to obey them and murder me to silence my voice, to erase me from history so that you don't know me. So that the prophecies become false. In 2020, which was the amount of time between 8 April 4 CE and 2024 CE of the two solar eclipses, there was the Exodus. I sued in Pharaoh's court, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, twice. They said, no, we will not let the Mormons go. Creeping death occurred. And the 3 days of darkness for the latter days have been occurring. And I parted the waters. I told those who were listening back in those days that if the day that shall burn as an oven happens, to meet at the Green River turnoff there at the I-70. And soon thereafter, the news, Fox 13 News specifically, announced that the Green River had been dried up. So we can now pass through on dry ground. That was surprising to me. I didn't expect a literal prophecy of that. I knew the symbolic prophecy. I had to learn line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. Planting the word and producing the results of the word. To do that with studying real church history. Because that's how I became the foremost anthropologist of the ancient Middle East. And so, that's why you're supposed to be looking for Lucifer as the head of the great and abominable church. His name is used in the Book of Mormon, just like Immanuel's name from Isaiah. The falling star of Venus, which is the bride of Mars. Mars is the red star. So Mars is Lucifer. Russell means red. Just like Edom, who was Esau, means red, not just hairy. He got his birthright and blessing usurped. Jacob becomes Israel. Yah, Prince of God. But Nelson said, who's Nelson again? Russell means red. Marion means star of the sea. The red star of the sea of heaven is Mars, who is Lucifer, the husband of Venus, the inverted pentagram of the falling star, who can never ascend to the noonday position, because the sun god, Immanuel, blinds out Venus. Because she is inside the solar system from Earth. And thus, Mercury and Venus can never ascend to the position at noonday. So, I have fulfilled prophecy. I have finished my mission to warn Mormons. And Mormons have rejected me. And I am being silenced. YouTube has done their part all these years to silence my voice. And I have been accurate. The government of the United States of America has been couped. Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has been a part of that coup. And the war that will lead to the World War III of the enemy that has perfectly positioned themselves throughout Utah to corral you into a slaughter. Now, when they do that, I don't know. That's up to them. But you've been warned. And I've been silenced. The few people that are left, they want me to keep doing videos. But I can't. I'm being silenced. I am just a human. I am not supernatural. I am doing this alone. I have tread the wine press alone. And it's sad. I really like women. I just want one. Women have rejected me too. So, I'm unaware of anything else that's left to prophesy about, to reveal to you, other than what I've already told you is coming. The war that Hamas started was the final thing. And so, yes, there is a day that shall come that shall burn as an oven, and they that come shall burn you. And 8 April 2024, which is the Monday after the General Conference weekend, as the church is planning for their millennial kingdom of who? Lucifer, the great and abominable church. And so, yeah, I'm well aware that the church still wants to murder me. They've succeeded in silencing me. As YouTube throttles my service, refuses to let you see my videos. But I just wanted you to know, Joseph Smith is true. The Book of Mormon is true in the learning of the Jews. So, I mean, I've got the other computers. I can still run the Word program. Yesterday, for example, I did the pictures that I used from the other computer here and then just transferred them to this computer to put them on YouTube for you. And so, yeah, I can do that. It's inconvenient, but I can do that. But it takes too long to do these videos in the first place. So, yeah, I will be shaving today, won't I? And then do laundry. Because this is the Babylonian superstitious day, which was altered by Constantine. There is no such thing as a superstitious day where we shouldn't work. The Jews got assimilated into Babylon. For the Egyptians, every day is a Sabbath day. Temples were opened every single day for people who wanted to come and worship. And so I'm not an idol worshiper with superstitions about working on Sunday, or Saturday for that matter. The great and abominable church and the evil church of Islam have altered that for us, and thus tricked the Jews who were assimilated into Babylon. And thus why the Jewish authors talk about Jesus violating the hedge laws of the Pharisees, because that was what was going on during the Roman period time, right before the annihilation of the Jews, destruction of the temple. And so yeah, when Joseph Smith is prophesying to you in parable form, section 101 for example, he's warning you, Mormons. He's talking about you. And at the same time, the Christian world and the enemy are using Christian interpretation. And so yes, the war in Jerusalem occurred to trick you, to get you thinking that Jesus is coming. But Joseph Smith makes it very clear. Yes, there will be a Jerusalem war, but it's the Mormons who will be destroyed. The church is supposed to fall. And so that's what we got left. The church falling, destruction of Mormons, day that shall burn as an oven, and we don't have enough believers to build Zion. There will be no Zion if Mormons are unbelievers, and Mormons have rejected their Christ. Mormons do not believe. They worship an idol god, and they are waiting for him to come, and he will never come, and they will be destroyed, and there will be no Zion. And so I don't know how long I'll have on earth. I have no idea if the church will leave me alone now that I'm leaving you alone. It's not likely. I still get spies wondering if I'm planning something. They're the ones who are planning something. But yeah, they want to know if I'm going to expose it. That's what they're concerned about. That's why YouTube was ordered to silence my videos, because they knew I keep revealing their plot. And so I did it again. The final day of Sukkot, Hamas attacked and then threatened the day that shall burn as an oven on Friday, the 13th. As we had the symbol, which, yeah, it comes from Samson. Urim and Thummim for Samson. Kills the lion, 21st of August, 2017 in Leo. His wife dies by fire, annular eclipse, yesterday in Virgo. And then Samson takes out the great and abominable church, as he himself has his death sign. 8 April 2024. On the back of the white horse in Pisces, where Jupiter is in the Ram constellation, where Abraham sacrificed Isaac. But the eclipse is in the different one, takes down the church. So I hope it's not till then I am silenced. You know, they have overcome me. And they will not release and allow me my religious freedom to allow you to choose. Because that's what Joseph Smith is saying, is that Mormons will be warned, but Mormons have to choose to believe in him. And Mormons have chosen not to believe. And thus they have chosen the consequences of not believing, which is destruction. Not only for them, but for their families. They're taking away the agency of their families with their disbelief. And so, yeah. I knew that Christians would never believe, or Islam, but Mormons too. And so, yes, utter destruction awaits. So I have no idea if how long it's going to take. Maybe they're even going to go after the date next year, as they keep threatening us that they're going to cause chaos with the election. They've couped the government already. They're just purposely dragging it out, torturing us little by little. See, right now we don't have a speaker. Jim Jordan apparently is the latest nominee, but there's not enough votes for him either. They're still not putting Trump in. I guess Trump doesn't want to do the work. But they were supposed to impeach and remove Biden and Harris so that the Speaker of the House would then be Trump, and then he takes over as president again. So they're kind of failing here. The church has been failing. The church has been working with the Council for National Policy, the secret combination in America that the Southern Poverty Law Center warned us about. And so all their talk to us about Jesus coming and overthrowing the government, it's the church. It's Lucifer, literally, Russell Marion. And Mormons don't believe, despite Joseph Smith being correct. Because you use Christian interpretation and you miss it. You're waiting for Jesus to come to warn you, when that's not how it goes in the Mormon Christian interpretation. See, the destruction happens and then Jesus comes and saves us. But being here in Utah, we're saved anyway, because this is Zion. This is Sodom that will be destroyed. So, this is it. I'll just transfer a first vision picture for the thumbnail and post this. And you can always reach out to me if you're among the few. There's one who reaches out to me, but he wants me to make videos. Communication by email is not his desired method. So, yeah. Go and live my life as if none of this ever happened. Because I don't know when the enemy is going to do it, but they've done it. It's in progress. But the final solution has yet to happen. And apparently they're trying to see if they can build up to it. And so things are just going to get worse from here on out. So the year's supply of food, yeah, well, that was insufficient, wasn't it? Church didn't help you, did they? Section 119 is priestcraft. And you missed that? He didn't understand that that's also a forged document of Brigham Young that he put after Joseph Smith died in the new edition of the Doctrine and Covenants, which he purposely left out things. Especially the one where Joseph prophesies that Brigham Young is the Judas who would betray and murder him and then usurp his church. 19 July 1840. So, yeah, I'll just live my life collecting the new movies that come out. Hollywood apparently is not back in operation, just the Writers Guild. And so I'll be able to watch on YouTube the SNL episode last night. And I've got a desk to still make and put my other computer that plays my Civilization 3 game and my Cleopatra pyramid building game. Because I don't have a wife. I don't have a woman in my life. It'd be nice if she liked those stuff too. Because when you pair off with a woman, the two of you have to become one, which means not living your past life while trying to merge with your new life and new wife. But that's the problem in today's society. We have people that have such a diverse background and upbringing that we come from different societies, different experiences, that we're unable to see that what's really important is a relationship, forming a new life, not trying to maintain your old life. And I can understand, because for me, I have to establish patterns so that I don't forget to shampoo my hair. But patterns also help regulate my sleeping schedule so that I don't need an alarm if I were to establish a regular sleeping pattern versus being a wild college student like I was when I was a teenager. Sleep until afternoon. But when I sleep for longer periods of time, I remember my dreams better. Well, so I could go and explain all of my life to you. Nobody's interested. How they were prophesied, how they happened, the signs in the heavens that accompanied them. So, such is the way it is. I know how to build Zion. Nobody cares. Nobody believes. So, it's unclear as to whether or not Mormons will recognize by default with destruction here in this valley, and I survive and the survivors come with me to southern Illinois. Like I said, the time frame is next year. Because they, in the Book of Mormon, are talking about the sign in the heavens. We'll all see it. We'll all know about it. We've already been told about it. We already know it's coming. And so that's why, right now, the war needed to begin. That's why Nelson purposely put out the First Presidency statement as they did, so that Mormons would be threatened. They now have to flee Jerusalem. Went to Greece. So Mormons are now in danger. Mormons believe that we support the Jews because Jesus is coming to destroy them and convert the survivors to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And you can't figure out that that's anti-Semitic. That's abominable. So, alrighty. I know that only the couple of you are listening to this point. So I'm running out of things to say. So it's back to a life of loneliness again. Forced retirement. But maybe I could get the new Indiana Jones movie that's coming out on DVD on the 5th of December and Star Trek Strange New Worlds Part 2. I don't know. It's up to the enemy. They are in control. You did not get rid of the secret society, secret combination from our land. So now with priestcraft of the Great and Abominable Church and the secret combination, America is doomed. I've reached out to our government. All agencies, all branches, all levels. Excuse me. They are in on it. They are helping the church destroy America. And so I can't... I've done the part of warning them, giving them the tips and the documents and the financial receipts. They refuse to save America. They are causing the destruction. And so we already see the government. They are destroying America. The coup has begun. And yeah, I'm Captain Moroni. Mormons didn't believe, didn't help me. And so Zarahemla will fall. It's just a matter of time now. Alrighty. So yeah, I would have liked to have redone the scriptures for you. Provided you with Joseph Smith's actual stuff. But nobody's interested. Nobody cares. As the church continues to lie to us. They refuse to make the changes necessary that they themselves published with the Joseph Smith papers. And it's just saddening to witness the utter destruction of Mormons. That they were so easily deceived by the Great and Abominable Church that they support the abomination and reject their Christ, whom Joseph Smith prophesied of, and the church gutted it. They never even talked about the day that shall burn as an oven. It was all about the restoration of the gospel. And they took it out of the Book of Mormon too. Joseph Smith history. They put it at the front of the Book of Mormon. And they gutted the part about the prophecies of the latter days. But I went over it with you. So yeah, when you use Christian interpretation, the prophecies disappear. They become literal history. And there's problems, as critics have been telling Mormons. Cows? Prophecy. You're not supposed to see cows. Alright. So, here we go. brethren and sistren, adieu. I mean, yeah, if you, for some reason, find this video and you listen to the end, and there's enough people that believe, yeah, we can go and build Zion. And so you will hear more from me, because like I said, there's a lot more to talk about. This is just a summary that's going on 2 hours. But I'm under attack. And when I'm under attack, there's nothing I can do about it. When the church had me indefinitely incarcerated, there's nothing I can do about it. I had to just sit there as they were torturing me to death. They erased me from history. I ceased to exist. But miraculously, I was freed in 2014. And yes, prophecies were fulfilled in all this, but that doesn't make them good guys, because the prophecies are that they're the bad guys doing it to me. And so yeah, in 2014, that's when the latter days started, with the pre-show, the tetrad. The sun shall be darkened, moon turned to blood, stars fall from heaven, Perry Packer Scott, putting Nelson in the pole position to become the president in 2017. Because Monson technically was dead and inoperable. So Nelson actually was running the church, not the counselors. That's what Trump did not understand. He paid more attention to Irene because Irene is in the first presidency. He didn't know that Nelson, according to Brigham Young's changes, was actually the leader. And that's why he was in attendance, because Monson was on his deathbed. So, anyway, like I said, I've done the videos. 3.1K videos working its way to 3.2. All these years. So I'm kind of torn. Should I use, maybe I should use both. Panic Attack, the new Judas Priest one that came out on Friday the 13th. Or September, Earth, Wind, and Fire. We'll do both. We'll do both. Because that's what September 21st was all about. Panic Attack of the latter days. Maybe I should reword the title. We'll see.